Hello, today we're going to talk about force. A force is a push or a pull on an object. So, like if you're walking through a door, all right, some doors you have to pull on to open them, some you have to push to go through. That is what force is. So, everything you do is basically force. When you walk, breathing is forcing air in and out of your lungs. It's just a push or a pull on an object. Everything requires a force that you do. Alongside of force, you have friction. Friction is the force that goes against motion. So if I have a box here and it's on the ground and I use force to push it this way with 5 newtons. Newtons is the measure of force. So if I'm pushing this box with 5 newtons of force, there's an opposing force going the other way. This is called the force of friction, something like that. So this is friction. All right? Depending on the surface, depends on how it'll move. The rougher the surface, the more friction. So if you take a box and roll it across ice, it's going to be more slippery and it's going to go further because you have less friction. You take that same box and you throw it against cement or try to slide it along cement, the rough stuff with all the rocks up, it's not going to go as far because it's rougher. It has more of a force of friction on it. All right, if you guys remember, there's an episode of The Office where they try to be more efficient, and it's the one where the warehouse workers win the lottery. And so Jim and Dwight and Aaron and what's his name have to go down there and do it, and they oil up the whole ground so that they can throw the boxes of paper down because it reduces the amount of friction using the oil. Oil is what is considered a lubricant. All right, that takes down the force of friction and lets it move better. That's why you have to put oil in your car so that it helps lubricate the engine and it runs and it doesn't blow up or overheat. Friction is also what is called a contact force. So, contact force is friction, which I just showed you with that box there. There's also tension. All right, tension is, you hear it a lot with ropes. So if I have a rope dangling here and I pull on it, it straightens it out and tenses the rope up. That's tension. The other one is air resistance. So air resistance is like a parachute. It's a contact force. So here you are in your little parachute jumping out of a plane. If you didn't have that resistance from the air, what would happen is you jump out of the plane, your parachute would open, and you just fall and hit the ground. Right? Which I know someone that happened to, but it was only about 300 feet off the ground. He shattered his entire leg and hit. All right, that's air resistance. Air resistance is the air will push against the top of the parachute to slow you down. Friction and tension. All contact forces. Right. A normal force is a perpendicular force between two unmoving static objects. So if I'm standing here, this is the ground, I apply an actual force against the ground due to gravity. What's happening is the ground is actually pushing back against me. And that's what normal force is. It's the normal force of the ground pushing against you. If you didn't have that force, because you're being pulled down by gravity, if that ground didn't push up against you, as soon as you were born and you were put on your little bed thing, if there's no normal force there, you'd have sunk down to the center of the earth. So that's what normal force is. It's just the ground pushing up against you to make sure it equals out. We'll learn about Newton's laws next. Another force is action at distance force. That sounds super cool. All that basically is gravity. One of them is gravity. So I have the sun here, Then you have a bunch of other planets, and you have the Earth and the Moon. That's not representative at all. The sun is way bigger. But gravity, you can't see the force, but it is actually pulling on the Earth. The Earth is pulling on the Moon, and so on and so forth. So it's a distance force. Another one is like magnets. So if you take opposites attract, so if you take the north and the south side of a magnet and put them together, they'll combine. The same push each other against it. So if you take magnets and you turn them around and push them against each other, you'll feel the magnetic field in between them. That's a distance force. All right, and the last thing is calculating force. This is more of a Newton's law thing. As I said, force is measured in newtons. So if I have a force, so if I say I have a mass of, what did I do? So I have a mass of 25 kilograms, and I have an acceleration of 4 meters per second squared. So all I have to do is just plug that into the formula. So force equals my mass times my acceleration of 4, and 4 times 25 is 100. So my force equals 100 kilograms per meters per second squared, or 100 newtons. All right, this has been Force. Hope it helps. Good luck.